video, I'm going to be walking you through how to use the picture element in your HTML code. And I've already got a folder here that's for the Chapter 8 picture. And it's already got all of our required images inside it. And I've also already saved the template.html file from our Chapter 8 files as index.html in this folder. So if you open that up, that index.html file up in your editor, it should look like that. And you'll notice that there's not really much on it. And when you open it inside your web browser, it's going to be blank because we haven't added anything to it yet. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to give it a title, and we're going to give that title as picture element, since that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we're also going to add an h1 tag with that same text in there. We're going to save it, and we're just going to go back into our web browser and make sure that everything is working correctly. And when we refresh, we should see that h1 element, and if you've got tabs, you should see the title in the tab as well. And so we'll go back into our text editor, and we'll start with our picture element here. Now, the picture element is basically just a container. It's just there to hold on to stuff. It's kind of like the main element or a div. It's just there to hold on to other things, basically. And the picture element is providing a method for displaying different images in the browser based on criteria that you as the developer outline to it. And so the elements that the picture element contains as a container are called source elements. And they're kind of like the source attribute that you use when you use an image tag, except they're their whole own element. And you can put multiple of them inside the picture element so that there are multiple options for the browser to choose from based on your criteria. So to create a source element, we'll have a source, and then we're going to add some attributes to it. So the first attribute we're going to use is the type attribute, and it's going to be image/webp. And webp is basically just another type of image file. It's a newer one that is sometimes a little higher quality than just your average JPEG. And then we're going to add a media attribute. And the media attribute is going to contain our condition in this case. So in this case, we're adding a max width of 480 pixels. So this source is only going to appear on our screen if the screen size is 480 pixels or less. And then we're going to have a source set attribute, and it is going to contain the name of our image file. In this case, it's small.webp. And again, webp is just a different image format. It's sometimes it's supposed to be a little more better quality. And so you can add as many source attributes as you need. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a few more. We're going to have 2 more with WebP image types. And so our medium, we're going to have 3 sizes. We're going to have small, medium, and large. So our medium image size is going to be at max width 800 pixels. So it's only going to show up if the screen is 800 pixels or less until it gets to 480 pixels. And the name of this file is medium.webp, and then we're going to do the same for our large image size, which is going to be anything higher than 800 pixels. So we don't need that media attribute anymore because it's anything else that isn't covered in these. And we're going to name it, and it's going to be our image large.webp. So WebP is an image format that you may not have heard of. It's not very common. It's kind of new. And so what we're actually going to do is we're not going to leave that just as WebP images because WebP is such a new image format, not all browsers support it. So it's not always supported. So we're actually going to also have these same conditions except for the JPEG files of these images. Remember, we saved all of these images in the folder twice, and that's because there were WebP versions and also JPEG images. So what this is going to do is the browser is going to look at these first, these WebP ones, and it's going to display those if those are supported by the browser. But if your browser doesn't support these, it's going to look at the JPEGs instead, because pretty much all browsers these days are going to support JPEGs. So if your browser doesn't support WebP, then it's going to show the JPEG version of the image. That's why we want to have both of those formats in this case. And then, of course, after all of those, we want to add one more source attribute. Or no, not a source attribute. I'm sorry. We're going to add an image element. And we're going to just have a source of fallback.jpg with an alt value of water wheel. And this image is going to be the default image that shows up. If none of these other images from the sources are compatible with the web browser, or if a condition's not right, or the browser just doesn't know what else to do, it's going to fall back and it's just going to display this image instead. So that's why we're putting that in there. So we'll go ahead and save, and we'll open our browser back up and we'll refresh the page. And as you can see, we've got the large image and we've got the WebP image. So my browser does support the WebP format. But if your browser doesn't support WebP, it will say JPEG here instead to indicate that it's using that JPEG image, because that's how they're labeled in those files. So if we resize our browser, as you resize it, the image is going to change based on those conditions. And my browser doesn't go any smaller than that without opening the inspector. So you've got your small, your medium, and your large. And if none of those conditions are met, or for some reason your browser doesn't think that the requirements are met, or whatever reason, if none of those requirements are met, your fallback image will be shown because it's the image source. So that's it for this video. I hope it was very helpful to you. I hope you maybe understand the picture elements a little more. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks for watching.